ఇప్పుడే చెప్పిన స్వామి అంతకంటే పెద్ద డిస్ప్లే కెమెరాలుగా అన్న మార్నింగ్ చేస్తాను
This is about the Black Day of emergency. After imposing the emergency, what would happen? This is like destroying the constitution. Indian Herald. Emergency declared. Advani ji, Ashok Sehgal ji, Vajpayee ji were arrested.
తర్వాత అందరిని ఉద్దేశించి మనకు వచ్చినటువంటి అతిథి మాట్లాడతారు. దయచేసి అందరూ నిశ్శబ్దంగా వినవలసిన కోరుచున్నాము. ముందర వేదిక
వందే మాతరం వందే మాతరం సుజలా సుఫలా మలయజ శీతలా సస్య శ్యామలా మాతరం వందే మాతరం శుభ్ర జ్యోత్స్నా పులకితయామినీ పుల్లకుసుమిత ద్రుమదళ శోభినీ సుహాసినీ సుమధుర భాషిణీ సుఖదాం వరదాం మాతరం వందే మాతరం వందే.
ఇవాళ కార్యక్రమం ఈ దేశం సరిగ్గా 50 సంవత్సరాల క్రితం కాంగ్రెస్ ప్రభుత్వం అధికారంలో ఉన్నప్పుడు ఇందిరాగాంధీ ప్రధానమంత్రిగా పనిచేసినప్పుడు 1975 జూన్ 25వ తారీఖు ఈ దేశం మీద అత్యవసర పరిస్థితిని నెలల పాటు ఈ దేశాన్ని చీకటిలోకి నెట్టివేసినప్పటికీ మాయని గాయంగా మిగిలిపోయినటువంటి భారత చరిత్రలో ఒక ఘట్టాన్ని స్మరించుకోవడం, గుర్తు చేసుకోవడం, ఆ సందర్భంగా ఏర్పాటు అత్యవసర పరిస్థితి వ్యతిరేక దినంగా ఈ కార్యక్రమాన్ని దేశవ్యాప్తంగా మేధావులతో నిర్వహించుకుంటున్నాము. అదే క్రమంలో ఇక్కడ భారతీయ జనతా పార్టీ నేతృత్వంలో వివిధ రంగాల పెద్దలు ఉన్నారు. ముందుగా ఈ కార్యక్రమం యొక్క ముఖ్య అతిథి గారిని సభకు పరిచయం చేసే ప్రయత్నం చేస్తాము. చంద్రబాబు గారు ముఖ్య అతిథి సంబంధించినటువంటి రాష్ట్ర అడ్మినిస్ట్రేటివ్ సంబంధించిన ట్రిబ్యునల్స్ లో వివిధ హోదాల్లో వారు పనిచేయడం జరిగింది. డైరెక్టర్ సోషల్ వెల్ఫేర్ అండ్ డైరెక్టర్ మిషన్ శక్తి ఫర్ 4.
Secretary Madhukarji were there. They were explaining to me. Very well done photo exhibition. After this seminar, I will request you to give
భారత్ మాతాకి భారత్.
ఇప్పుడు ఈ సందర్భాన్ని అందరూ కూర్చోవాలి, మన వాళ్ళు కూడా కూర్చోవాలి.
Namaskar. My salutations at the feet of Lord Venkateshwar. It is my distinct pleasure and privilege to come to this holy land of Tirupati and meet all of you. I want to start this talk of mine, this address of mine, on a positive note. I wanted to talk in Telugu. I will certainly learn Telugu. Maybe next time when I come, I'll talk in Telugu. But now, please allow me to talk to you in English. And I'm sure most of you will understand English. Friends, as I said, let's start on a positive note. Let's be very proud of ourselves. We should be proud of the fact that we belong to the largest democracy of the world. India is the mother of democracies, and we must be very proud of that fact. In all these 75 years after independence, post 1947, we all have worked together very hard. And in the last 10-11 years of Prime Minister Modi's government, we have achieved hugely in various sectors. I'm delighted to remind you that we are the 4th largest economy in the world at the moment. We just surpassed Japan, and very shortly, in the next 2.5 to 3 years, we will be surpassing Germany and becoming the 3rd largest economy of the world. We are the fastest growing major economy of the world. We should all be very proud of this fact. Friends, our growth rate is 6.4%, which is quite high if we compare this growth rate with many of the neighboring countries. We have a huge population, as you know, 1.4 billion, 140 crore. The best part is that this is a young population. The median age is 29 years. We have a foreign exchange reserves of $690 billion, and our retail inflation is coming down with every passing day. It is just 3.16% now. This means we are a good destination for the global capital. In every sector, we are growing by leaps and bounds. We are progressing by leaps and bounds. That's the beauty of India. Friends, we need to start on a positive note. We need to feel good about ourselves. But at the same time, I would like to take you down the memory lane. I would like you to go back to 1975. And I have come here to talk to you about the darkest chapter of post-independence history of India. I have come here to talk about the authoritarian rule of the Congress. In those 21 months, the period of emergency from 25th June 1975 to 21st March 1977, when the democratic processes had been stifled and when there were violations of human rights. I have come here to you to address you and to talk to you about the Congress party not only stifling our voices, not only curtailing the rights of the press, not only bringing down the judiciary's powers, but all the while trying to grab power and care for the chair and not about the fundamental rights of the people of the country. This is the reason we are here. I will remind you, please go down the memory lane. At that point of time, many of these girls and boys might not have been born. And I told you earlier that it is the median age of our country is just 29 years. So maybe many of you sitting in the hall may not be aware of what happened in 1975, and that's why I'm here. I'm here to remind you about the lessons of the history from which we need to learn a lot. And we need to tell ourselves that we will not do what the Congress government did at that point of time. We should not repeat what they did, and that is why we are here. Friends, in the midnight of June 25, 1975, the then Prime Minister, Indira Gandhi, prepared a rough note on a white paper. It did not contain letterhead. It was not her letterhead. It was not her official paper. She went to the then President Fakhruddin Ali Ahmad Sahab and took his orders on that plain white paper, which was not her letterhead, about the emergency that she wanted to clamp on the country. She clamped emergency. Thereafter, after taking the orders of the then president on a plain white paper. And she said there was internal disturbance within the country and that is why we need to have emergency. She misunderstood and misinterpreted Article 352 of the Constitution. We can never ever forget the then Prime Minister Indira Gandhi and her entire team and the Congress party for having brought this particular bad period to all of us. Friends, we need to understand as to why it happened. We have to understand that in March 1971, there were general elections. And in general elections, Madam Indira Gandhi won with a thumping majority. The Congress came to power at the center. But unfortunately, the opposition candidate contesting against her, Shri Raj Narayanji, did not agree to her winning. And he said there were a lot of malpractices involved and the electoral machinery had been misutilized and mishandled just to secure her seat. And he went to the Allahabad High Court against this winning of Prime Minister Indira Gandhi in her seat. My dear friends, at that point of time, what was the situation in the country? I want all of you to know, to understand, to appreciate, to acknowledge as to what happened then. The situation in the country was extremely negative. There was an economic downturn. There was economic distress. There was a lot of poverty around. And at that point of time, the inflation was high and the food crisis was very much everywhere. And naturally, when this situation would be there, there'd be a lot of public discontentment all over the country. The Navnirman movement, if you read about, was very much there in especially Bihar and Gujarat under the students' leadership. I remember, I have read, I'm a student of history, June 8, 1974. George Fernandez actually went for encouraging a railway strike. And this railway strike was a huge success and the entire country was brought to a standstill. It was June 8, 1974. The entire country was brought to a standstill because of this railway strike. So this was the situation. I reiterate, there was an economic downturn, there was economic distress, there was food crisis, there was inflation all over, and all these led to public discontentment. And this was the situation when Raj Narayanji had gone to the Allahabad High Court against the winning of Prime Minister Indira Gandhi in her seat. This particular situation, Indira Gandhi and her team could not handle. She had to suppress, and she said there was internal disturbance. And you know, the Jai Prakash movement was also raising its head at that point of time in the country. We are well aware of that. She did not know what to do. And in 1974, if you read the pages of history, you will get to know. In 1974, she brought about the president's rule in Gujarat. But my dear friends, that president's rule in Gujarat in 1974 was just a trailer to the film which actually took place on June 25, 1975, when emergency was imposed on the country by Indira Gandhi and her team. And I don't think the entire country will ever forgive and forget this particular misdeed. I underscore this particular misdeed of Indira Gandhi and her team and the Congress party. You have to understand as to why she did all this. She did all this because she had to save her chair. Now, this is the mentality of the Congress. Congress wants power. Congress also always wants to remain in the chair. So that is why this disregard, utter disregard to the Constitution and utter disregard to the soul of the nation. She said, I have to be in the chair. Nobody can say that I indulged in fraudulent practices. I have not indulged in any kind of misuse of electoral machinery. I am right. So she went against the ruling of Allahabad High Court. Interestingly, please remember, interestingly, on June 24, 1975, the Supreme Court set aside the orders of Allahabad High Court. However, it said that the then Prime Minister Indira Gandhi will be in the chair, but she will be divested of all powers. She cannot vote. I hope you understand what I say. The Supreme Court said, I reiterate, on June 24, 1975, she will remain the Prime Minister because we have stayed the order of the Allahabad High Court. However, she cannot participate in any of the electoral proceedings or the voting, and she would just be a puppet. This was the import, the understanding from the order of the Supreme Court. This, of course, Indira Gandhi, who was hungry for power, who wanted to remain in chair, could not understand, could not take it, and ultimately she went to the then President Fakhruddin Ali Ahmad, and without her letterhead on a piece of paper, midnight she went, got the orders, and claimed emergency. What a misdeed. What misfortune for all of us. And now, my dear young friends, many of you are there. My dear young friends, you will appreciate what happened. I always feel that this was a very dark chapter in post-independence history. You know, we had that dark age of medieval era for 1,000 years in our country. Many of you must have read history. Medieval era for 1,000 years in our country. Thereafter, we had 200 years of British colonial rule. On 15th August 1947, when we got freedom, we were just finding our feet. We were going up the ladder. We were trying to raise our heads as a nation. And at that point of time, on June 25, 1975, the then Prime Minister Indira Gandhi imposed emergency. I think we all have gathered here to actually condemn what she did. And also to learn lessons from history. We must see that the fundamental rights of people are always upheld. And the democratic values are always honored in our country. This is the biggest responsibility that all of us 140 crore Indians at this juncture in India has. And that's why we are here. This is a day of introspection. This is also a day of learning. And this is also a day when we really need to carve out our path for the future as to how we move in the future. What happened during the emergency? We have 4 veterans sitting here. I bow down before 4 of them. They know what emergency has been all about. Maybe I was a small girl at that point of time, but they know it very well. They have suffered. They have their own stories to say. They are much more educated and learned and enlightened about the impact of emergency. The Congress, I will give you 11 points. I will not be very much detailed, but I will definitely tell you that there are 11 major points which you should understand and appreciate. Number 1, the Congress held the 3 pillars of democracy, executive, legislature, and judiciary a hostage and made them kneel down before the party, the person. Congress talks of dynastic politics. Congress talks of a family, a person. Number 2, one of the greatest blows that the Indians suffered at that point of time was the emergence of Sanjay Gandhi, the son of the then Prime Minister Indira Gandhi. He held no constitutional position, you know and I know, but he took all major policy decisions on behalf of the government and nobody dared to say no to him. How unfortunate for the Indians. How unfortunate for all of us. Imagine the situation. I want you all to go back and imagine the situation as to how bad it would have been at that point of time. Sanjay Gandhi, a person having no locus standi, having no constitutional position, having no authority, dictating terms to the then government, and the government obeying him.